Hi friends, it's me Desiree with Clearday. Today we're going to be making Christmas cards and our theme, Christmas trees. So the first idea that I have for you guys to do today is to use the paint cards that you can find at Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's or any paint store, the little swatches that they put out for free usually. And we're going to cut them into Christmas trees and use that. These are the ones that I was able to find at my local Walmart. But sometimes you can come across like some of the longer ones. Those are also great to use for this idea. The next idea that I have, actually I'll set these up, is using old book pages. So getting a more rustic look. This is a great idea for that. And on this one, we just kind of tore the pages, so no scissors required. And just had fun with that, getting the wording out and making strips. And then here we have another one of the texts just cut into the shape of a tree and some twine wrapped around. Okay, so these are just some great little ideas. I will throw in a bonus card at the end so that you can see something that we did on a live video. And I just wanted to go ahead and share that here with you. So what you'll need, what I'm using is craft paper. It's kind of got like a aged look to it. You can use any kind of paper you want. And as a matter of fact, in all of these ideas, I tried to use different things that I had on hand because I'm all about using what we have and not going out and having to buy more things that we don't have or don't need or, you know, what have you. So some of the items you might need, I'm using a hot glue gun for the purposes of this video. It is a low temp hot glue gun. Doesn't really make sense, but it's not as hot. It's not going to burn you as bad if you touch or like specifically the glue. But I'm only doing that because we're, you know, filming and it makes it a lot easier for me. But for your purposes, glue, just regular Elmer's glue or tacky glue or Mod Podge will work perfect. That's all you need. Scissors, glue are kind of the essentials, and some paper. I am using I didn't have an old book at the studio on hand, but I did print off some old rustic looking text, and that's what I'll be using today, but it doesn't have the same texture as older book pages or yellowing book pages have. So if you do have something like that on hand, use those if you don't mind tearing them up. And then we will need some type of colored paper. I'm using pattern paper like with a Christmas theme to it. You can use wrapping paper that you have at home. That's a great way to use up any wrapping paper from last year. Is using it for making New Year Christmas cards for the new Christmas season. And then all I'm doing here to start on these cards, I'm not making them ginormous. They are cut down from 8.5 by 11. I'm simply folding the paper in half as best I can, right? Because I don't have a bone folder or scoring board here. I have that at my house. So I'm just cutting that right down the middle, right in half. And this will be the size of our new card. So the side that I cut, I leave at the bottom of my cards because it's not a perfect cut and I didn't bring my paper cutter up here. So this is what size we'll be using for today's purposes, okay? So let me actually put these down or turn them around for me to look at. There you go. Just so I have something to go off of. So now that we have a few pages cut, I want to start off using our paint swatches. So You can use whatever materials you have on hand at home, on you, whatever materials you have. Right now, I'm gonna be using some beads. You can use buttons, anything that you have that's decorative. I do have like these little bedazzling blingy type deals. I used one for a topper here. You can put those all over the tree. I think that they have like different sizes. I also have here a sticker book that has different sizes of stars, hearts. And so we'll be using these like a little, they have all those different sizes of stars on one of our examples. So let's do this. I'm actually going to I'm going to use these where the lines are as the bottom of our Christmas tree, okay? And our first card. So what I'm doing is I'm basically cutting from one corner and going towards the other corner, okay? So that's a good way to kind of look at it. It's just going from one corner to the other, okay? And that will help you kind of keep it the size of a Christmas tree, right? So that will be our first tree. And then I'm going to get my glue gun and I'm just gonna glue this right down. Again, if you're at home, regular glue is all you need. It'll work just fine, okay? So we have it down. And then I think on this one, we will do the beads, okay? So I am going to decorate this one using this bedazzle as our topper for our tree. So we'll go ahead and just put that right down top of that tree there. And then I'm going to just grab a few beads here. No rhyme or reason. I think on that one I used all the clear beads that I have, but I do have some green ones here that I think would look really nice. I like odd numbers, so 3 and 5 is what I usually do when it comes to crafts. All right, so I'm just going to plop these down onto our tree. All right, just like so. No rhyme or reason. I'm just wanting you guys to see all the different ways that you can decorate these. And again, buttons would be so cute on here. Okay. And there we are. So there are your beads, okay? If you wanted to, I think I have some brown here. I did grab a few sheets of brown paper. You could cut out a stem for your tree and just simply slide it under there. Put some glue. I'm just going to slide that down in there. And now you have yourself a tree, right? So you could easily add Merry Christmas. You could say Happy Holidays, wishing you well. You could put anything you want on the front of the card. You could even use, if your handwriting isn't the best, you could use alpha stickers, like an alphabet sticker set, and go ahead and plop that down there. All right, so we have one down. Our next one, I'm going to try something different that I haven't done before. And I am going to try to make a big tree and a small tree. So let's see if we can do that. I'm just going to do the same thing, one corner to the other to make a bigger tree. And then I want to make a smaller tree. And you could even do it like a little skinnier, like a skinny Christmas tree. Right? So you can do different sizes and shapes. So on these trees that I'm doing now, I'm going to be using my star stickers to make them look like Christmas lights. Okay. So there we have it. We have two trees, right? And so maybe on top of one tree, we have this red sticker star, and on the other we do yellow, something like that. Okay. And then in between those, we can easily do little bitty ones onto the tree to make it look like Christmas lights. All right. I'm just going to place those all over the tree, here and there. So growing up in Alaska, we had pine trees everywhere. It is my favorite tree, and there's nothing like going outside on a cold winter's day and smelling the pine trees. It was probably like my favorite part. It was just, they smell so good. One kind of broke on me. All right. And I think this is good. Let me do one more on this darker one. Lots of color on here, very pretty. All right, so these are our 2 trees that we were able to make just now. Okay, very easy, fun card to make for Christmas this year. Let me go ahead and cut up some more here, and then we'll move on to our next one. All right, so just again, got our 8.5 by 11 paper, folding it in half and cutting it down the middle. Okay, there we go. We use those. So for our next tree, which we're going to use on this paper, you're going to need your book paper. In my case, I am using some old text font that I was able to print off the internet. And you're not going to need any scissors for this one. Put those scissors away. Let's use our fingers, our hands, and let's try to use our fingers to tear the paper where we want it to tear. So I know that looking at the one that I did previously, I did 3 lines, about 3 lines for each segment. But I think on this one, thinner lines is what I'm going for, like a different look. So I'm gonna do every 2 lines of text. I'm gonna tear around them. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my big piece, which is my base, okay? That's what I'm doing here. So I'm gonna start with a much bigger piece. And I just want to do 2 lines here, okay? So I'm just gonna cut around those 2 lines. And I'm using my fingers to rip and tear because we want it to look uneven. We want that distressed look, like a rough, rugged look. That's what we're going for. So here's my first piece. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, and if I put that on my card, I notice that it's coming off the edges here, right? About that much. And I don't want my tree to be that big, so I'm just going to tear it off there, right? And we'll glue that down. We're just gonna glue that right onto our card. And I still think that it's a little too big, so peel up a little bit more of it. All right, so going by this, I'm going to make a smaller piece and cut out another 2 lines. This time I'm going to cut it off a little shorter than that last one, okay? Because we want our pieces to get smaller and smaller as we go. All right. All right, so now we can see here that that last piece was that size, so we're gonna go in a little bit more this time. We're just gonna rip that out using your fingers. There we go. And yeah, you can see that. So you can see how different a thicker chunk of paper looks compared to the thinner. Okay, so that's all we're doing. So now I can see how big that piece was. I'm gonna go in a little bit less this time. Try to make sure your words are the right side ways up, and that you don't accidentally flip them around and make them upside down. It's okay if you do, but try not to. All right, and so next we're gonna make this one a little bit smaller. So we're just going in little by little. We're gonna tear that piece out. Okay. There we go. And then I had a little chunk of piece that I had ripped off another piece, so I'm just going to use that as my top. So I just wanted to share that with you, and you can see here the difference between a thicker cuts of paper and thinner. Okay. So for our star here, I think I cut it out of a piece of paper, but I'm going to use our star sticker book. And I want to say some red stars in here somewhere, yeah. So I think on this one, I want to go with a red star here. So I'm just gonna put a star on there, and that is our tree. Let's add a trunk. Use some of this brown paper. I'm gonna put some glue. Oh, maybe I can get it in there. All right, I know I said no scissors, but we needed to have a stem for our tree. Okay, so that is one. All right. And you'll see here, your leftovers should look kind of like a pyramid, right? Okay, our next one. I'm gonna use this piece of paper. I liked how the words were larger and they got smaller. And so that's how I want my tree to be. I want it to kind of come out. Now you can print off the shape of a Christmas tree, like an outline, to make your lines perfect. I'm just gonna trace out a Christmas tree, and I mean, I like mine wonky. I don't necessarily want it to be perfect. So I'm just going to draw out a Christmas tree that I kind of envision, right? So you could even do, I'll show you one way to do this, which is just starting off with a triangle. And then you're just gonna add 2 lines under that. You're gonna do 2 lines coming out. I don't know if you can see that. I probably could have used a dark pen, huh? There we go. Is that easier, better? All right, so that's this general shape, and then we go back in, 2 lines under, and then we're gonna go out one more time and connect those lines. There. So now all you have to do is trace that line and cut around it, and you have a tree. Another way that you can make a tree is simply by drawing triangles. right? So you do one and then you do a bigger one, kind of like a snowman. Start with a small triangle up at the top, a medium, and a large. So that's just this is really a bad drawing, but I wanted to show you. That's another way that you can draw a tree. It's a little easier if you're not necessarily good at sketching and drawing. So let me just cut this one out. Actually, I'll probably cut both out. How about that? That way we can get a good look. And when I cut these out, I'm not necessarily cutting directly on the line that I drew. I'm just kind of cutting an outline of that. So I'm leaving an edge. But this is in case I need to go back and trim any pieces off because it just looks uneven. Okay. I think that's way too wide. All right. So here's my tree, right? So I'm just gonna glue this down here, okay? Let's cut out the other one. Well, it's probably not gonna work, is it? I'll draw another one showing you what I meant by just drawing triangles. Nope, that's not gonna work. I'm making a mess of this. Triangle, triangle, and then another triangle. So I think again, I'm just drawing 3 triangles, different sizes right on top of each other. And again, I'm going to cut out not on the lines, but just around them, leaving a outline, sort of like that. I don't know if you can see. Okay. Get rid of the big pieces of paper. All right. So this one came out a little wonky, but this is why we kind of leave an outline, right? So we can come in and fix that. So this is another tree that you could very well use on your card. Okay, so this is a tree both ways. All right, so I'm just gonna glue these down. Actually, no, I'm not. Because I forgot that on these we have to tie some string around them. So for this one, I am using twine, like a small rope. Yeah. I have a more neutral brown color, and then I have one that has like some white or cream twisted in it. So I think we'll use one of each. So for the first thing that you're going to want to do is start up at the top. You're going to bend this down. I'm just going to use hot glue. You might want to use a quick drying glue for this, just so it'll make it a little easier. Okay, so we're just going to hold that down, let it dry. Very good. Then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to turn it around. And I'm just going to glue it up at the front here to hold it in place. And then we're going to wrap it around the tree, okay? So, okay. Then I'm going to bring it around the back side. And we're just gonna put it in that first groove there, and we're gonna bring it around that way. So we're wrapping it around those grooves. Okay. Put some glue on the back, hold it in place. talking to me. All right. Okay, so now we're just going to glue it up to the front here. All we're doing is wrapping it around the tree. Okay. Glue everywhere. And then this will be our last wraparound, like so. All right. This is so fun. All right, and I'm just gonna glue it on the back to hold it in place so that we don't have it trying to come apart for us. All right, so there you have it. There's one, just how we wanted it, wrapped around. And I'm just going to glue this onto the card. I'm gonna put a lot of the glue on the actual rope. I'm just going to place it down. All right, so if you notice that spots are kind of poking up, you can add more glue. There we go. Wonderful. All right, so that's a tree there. Now I did buy a copper, like a bronze metallic marker, so that I could use that to draw in a trunk. Unfortunately, the copper comes out to be sort of like the same color of the paper. So, but if you can find some type of metallic copper paint, or like fabric paint or something that has like some texture to it, you can use that to kind of hold it down in place. Also, you could use, I bought gold so that we could put like some little ornaments on the tree here and there. Unfortunately, it kind of blends into the paper, but again, you could, you can't probably even see that. What I did to kind of make my own, to get over that, because neither one of these worked. Is one, I was cutting brown paper for the trunk, but two, you could mix some glitter, if you have some gold glitter and glue, which is what I did with the back of a paintbrush. I just mixed them, right? And I made this almost like, it's almost this texture of like fabric paint. And you can just dab your own little ornaments and decorate it that way. So that's what I did for another card. And you can make it as puffy, as thick as you want, or, you know, as thin as you want. The thinner, the faster it'll dry. So there you have it. And then if you wanted to, you could even do your own little star up at the top using this, right? So that's something to think about. So there you have your little star, okay? So that is an idea. So you have something like that, right? You can use whatever you have. Again, I just want to put that out there. You can use stickers, you can use beads, you can use paint. Use what you have, okay? So that is all of the cards that I wanted to share with you. Let's do the last one, which will be our bonus tree. Okay, so now it's time to do the bonus card. So this is one that we did do live together. And what you'll need is some decorative paper, red and green. You can use any color you want, actually, but we will be cutting out strips of paper to form a, you guessed it, Christmas tree. You could use wrapping paper for this craft as well. I'm all about using what we have. So I already had some strips of paper that I'd like to reuse. So I'm just going to cut some small strips of paper. I find that with this craft, it's best to use the thinnest strips that you can get. So the thinner, the better. I think this might be too thin, but we'll try it. Okay. So yeah, so we want to have just some thin strips of paper cut out. I had some construction paper that I used, so you can use that too if you already have that on hand. They don't have to be perfect, perfectly straight, nothing like that. Just we want our tree to look a little wonky and not perfect. So, but I will suggest to just cut thinner strips for this one. And we'll do some we have that buffalo plaid. Let's use that in green. And then we'll do some green snowflakes here. There we go. All right, so I think this is enough paper for what we're gonna do. So to start, we are going to measure about our base of our tree, and we're just going to glue strips of paper down, making the shape of a tree. So as we go up higher, we're going to want our tree to get smaller and smaller, right? So we're going to use pieces of paper and we're going to make them a little smaller each time that we add. And it's okay for them to overlap. That's what we're kind of going for here. We want them to overlap. We want them to be a little sideways. We want pieces to go here and there. We're not going for perfect here. Oops. All right. So this is what we've got so far. We're just laying pieces of strips of paper on top of each other to form the shape of a tree. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going. Just want it to go higher and higher. Let's use one of these. Okay. And getting smaller and smaller here. Alright, and let's put one of these in there. Alright, and after this piece, we'll just do one more and we'll do it in red. Alright, so this is our wonky Christmas tree, okay? And again, you can use, maybe I'll use a darker square for this, but for your trunk, just slide it right under there, that last strip. And now you have yourself a base. Turn that down some. And let's add a yellow star. Maybe that's way too big. Let's see. Maybe we'll add a yellow star to the top of this tree. Done. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial on how to do these. I'm glad that you watched. We'll see you later.